my takeaway on this game was Kevin Durant's had burner Twitter accounts. He talks to DMs media people all the time. What is he thinking? He got swept in the first round, and the Warriors look like they'll get into the finals. He's playing with an odd cast of characters. Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, no bench, a young head coach. Warriors have everything. Stars, culture, bench, depth, talent, Steph. You watch the Warriors' unique style, and you're like, oh, how much fun would it be to play with Steph or be Steph? You watch the Nets, and you think, I feel bad for KD. He's got to totally carry the team. He's the only guy you can depend on every night. I know it's a players' league, but Kevin Durant is a cautionary tale of be very careful about bailing on a Hall of Fame head coach. Not many exist. Or a Hall of Fame point guard. Not many exist. Or a Hall of Fame culture. Not many exist. I know it's a players' league. When the player has all those other things, they win. Can't do it by yourself. And Andrew Wiggins personifies what the Warriors culture is all about. The Timberwolves bailed on him. Not a good franchise. The Timberwolves are like, we don't need him. And he goes to Golden State, and we all thought he was a trade piece. We're like, well, they have Steph and Clay. What? And here a couple years later, you're like, yeah, he's an all-star. He's actually a really big thorn in Luka's side. What is KD thinking watching this? I mean, it's really amazing. Andrew Wiggins is what the Warriors are. Steve Kerr, who, by the way, may be the smartest guy in the league. He was a great player. He was a great broadcaster. He's a great coach. He was a more than competent general manager. He made the Suns, pre-Chris Paul, kind of interesting for a few years. You start looking at Steve Kerr, and he and Steph are what make this thing work. It's all about winning, period, end of story. Andrew Wiggins does not work coming to a lot of franchises with a lot of stars. But he's like perfect for the Warriors. He's perfect. And, when Brady and Belichick broke up, at least New England's still viable. Like the Kevin Durant Warriors thing now, I feel bad for Kevin Durant because I think he's way too talented to be connected to Ben Simmons, who seems marginally interested in basketball, and Kyrie, who's marginally interested in anything not named Kyrie. Like, I know it's a players' league. To a point. I mean, LeBron's great, but can he overcome right now the Lakers' front office and bad trades? No, he can't. And Kevin Durant and LeBron, arguably the two best players in the last 10 years, are both right now saddled with messes. And yet the culture, the coach, Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, you look at how Andrew Wiggins fits in this. They won pre-KD, they won with KD, and they're going to win after KD. And I'm watching that last night, and I'm thinking, don't tell me it doesn't bother him. He had a Twitter account that was covert. And I'm a huge KD fan, but don't tell me he's not watching this. Because you watch the Warriors, and it's so selfless, and it's so fun, and it's so aesthetically pleasing, and it's just everything a basketball culture should be. All about winning. That's it. Here comes a new star. All right, Steph steps back. Andrew, tonight's your night. Tonight's your quarter. This is your moment. I think Kyrie, that's not Ben Simmons. I want to show you my favorite moment. I think of the playoffs. Maybe it's not Dr. J at the Spectrum cradling over Michael Cooper, but Andrew Wiggins, a former number one pick, who somehow works with the Warriors as a 3, some nights a 4, just reminded us why he was a number one pick. So there you go. Now, I want to talk about, I know, you little fanboys out there. Colin, you said Miami wouldn't win another game. Listen, I still contend the Celtics are better than the Miami Heat. They're shooting a better field goal percentage. They are shooting a better three-point percentage. They have more rebounds. They have more elite players. And I contend that the better team, they've had 2 terrible quarters. Third quarter, game 1, first quarter, game 3. But the Celtics are not talented enough to mail it in. Miami knows that. Miami's limited, but they know they're limited. They're playing undrafted guys. They didn't have Lowry the first couple of games. Jimmy Butler couldn't play the second half. But Miami knows that. They know they're not the most talented team in the league. So above the shoulders is where Miami's winning this season. They're not out-talenting Boston. They're outworking them. They're not mailing in quarters. They just have bad quarters because they have limitations. It's inexplicable. It borders on bizarre that Boston, in a series tied at 1, is a no-show for the first quarter against Miami at home. Like, no passion, no intensity. They're not that talented. We all know what Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum are. Different versions of what they were 5 years ago when they were joined together. One a defender, one a hyper-athletic B-plus player, and one a star. But this series for Boston, if they lose it, isn't just disappointing. It's a little bit of a disaster because they've actually gotten the breaks in this series. I mean, if you think about it, Lowry couldn't play for 2 games. He's their floor leader. Jimmy Butler couldn't play the other night, second half. They've got undrafted guys. This is not a complete roster. They're just kind of bondoing and Band-Aiding this thing. And when you get breaks, you got to take advantage of it. Years ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron won a title, but they got breaks. Draymond suspended, Bogut got hurt, left the series, and Steph was banged up. But they took advantage of it. The Raptors a few years ago took advantage of it. Everybody fell apart for the Warriors. They won a championship. A few years ago, the Warriors got into trouble against the Houston Rockets. You remember that series? They trailed, and Chris Paul got hurt. The Warriors took advantage of it. Listen, man, Kyle Lowry didn't play early. Butler didn't play the other night in the second half. This is not a complete team. Miami's, for the record, was a good three-point shooting team in the regular season. Hasn't shot the three particularly well in the first couple of games. You're getting breaks here. Boston, you're getting breaks here. And again, the Celtics are the better team. They got more good players. They're shooting a higher field goal percentage. I said before the series, Boston will get more good shots than Miami. That's why I think they win. Over the course of a series, Steph does this for the Warriors because he can beat everybody off the dribble. Either Steph gets a good look or he gets somebody a good look. Like the Warriors generally go into every series and will get more good looks than you will. And because they're good finishers and they're great shooters, they win the most series. I mean, I think Golden State's now won like 9 straight conference final games. Like they just get more good shots than you. Let's not go too crazy on the analysis. In a 3-ball league, if I get more open looks, I beat you. Dallas got some good looks in game 1, but they're throwing so many different things, the Warriors are at the Mavericks. They're not getting a ton of great shots. Boston's getting more good shots, but they're not talented enough to mail it in. That's not what they are. And I said the other day, I said my concern, I said it on Friday, with the Warriors and the Celtics was cockiness. They both know they're better teams. At that point, the Celtics had played 8 quarters and had won 7. They're the better team. But the Warriors, who are better than the Celtics and have hardware, came into last night's game in Dallas cocky. They took the game over. They played better early. They delivered the first punch. What Boston did in game 3 is bizarre. The audacity to think we don't have to play with passion because Miami's beating you one way and everybody in the world knows it. They out-hustle you. They out-grind you. They out-physical you. They outwork you. They don't out-talent you. So this is a weird space for Boston. You can't just lose this series and chalk it up to, it was close. It could have gone either way. No, Boston should win the series. I mean, you got to win the series. Once you stole game 2 down there and you have home court, you got to win the series. All these advantages leaning your way. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.